Welcome to the Smithshire, an organic homestead in Paulsbo, home to the latest growing fad, goat yoga. We'll tell you all about it, plus our usual 5 stories on this week's Bleat Blast. Stick around. Ow, hi. Welcome back to the Beat Blast, sponsored by the Admiral Theater. Story number 1 this week. Smithshire owners Aaron and Ronnie Smith started their homestead about 7 years ago with the goal of growing organic food and raising livestock. The pair were inspired to start hosting goat yoga classes after they sold a group of young goats to a woman from Oregon who wanted to start her own studio. A professional instructor leads the 45-minute classes every weekend, and there's plenty of time for snuggling baby goats afterwards. Classes run from 12 to 1:30 and cost about $25.
Goats are naturally curious. They each have their own unique personality, and if they see someone at a tabletop, they're going to jump up, especially younger goats. So that combination is great for goat yoga. I think one reason doing livestock and agritourism and all is a popular thing nowadays is because for 10,000 years, we lived with and had goats and other livestock in our lives, right? We evolved with livestock as a regular part of our human existence for way longer, many, many times longer than when we had that absent from our daily routines. And so when people get next to a goat and see how cute a goat is, or see the relationship between a goat and the mom, which is called the dam, it really can inspire them, touch them in ways that normal human interactions don't.
And it seems like it's fun too. Like people laugh during this. They got people. Like,
yeah, it's a community building exercise. So you're total strangers when you go in, and you're all really good friends when you come out. It's only 45 minutes of goat yoga, but you're taking pictures of each other, and afterwards you're sharing contact information. Oh, show me your picture. Give me my picture. Let's post it together. Let's post that we're here together. Yeah. And then new friendships even. Story number 2 this week. 8 couples celebrated Valentine's Day by renewing their wedding vows on the Puget Sound on a state ferry. As the Tacoma rumbled along, sailing to Seattle from Bainbridge Island, the couples renewed their vows with a cabin full of passengers looking on as witnesses. Of course, a ferry captain was present with a few words. There were bouquets, an eagle feather blessing, a cupcake reception, and a few tears shed. Here's officiant Grace McLeod with the ceremony.
I'm sorry to say you still cannot smoke or vape on the ferry, nor can you have alcohol outside the galley. However, you may kiss your spouse.
Story number 3 this week. Developers and city officials behind the downtown Bremerton project known as Quincy Square announced plans this week for a new music discovery center, which will go into the Amy Burnett building on 4th Street and Pacific Avenue. The idea? A nonprofit gathering place that would provide instruments, instruction, technology, and practice areas to artists who might not otherwise have access to them.
A number of years ago, I was involved with Columbia City Theater in Seattle, and I'd met Tony Benton down there. And Tony is the founder of Rainier Avenue Radio and CADMA, which is a wonderful community project that has to do with broadcasting technology, music technology, working with volunteers, working with schools, working with community partners. And what they do is they have 24 hours a day of content, and it's all community produced. So the idea is that folks with no background in broadcasting, folks from communities that don't have a lot of resources or access to resources and opportunities can come in and have a voice. And ultimately, that's what I saw the opportunity to do here. Is there a place that we can, as everything changes with downtowns, as they do, is there a place where folks that live here, folks from the diverse community that's Bremerton, can have a voice and have an outlet for art and have all of that in an environment that's there to support them and isn't expensive?
But that's only one part of a project that could potentially reshape downtown Bremerton. The other is a complete redevelopment of the south side of 4th Street, spearheaded by local developers Sound West Group and designed by world-renowned architect Stephen Hull. Early designs show an almost unrecognizable street, 2 two-story apartment buildings separated by a courtyard and dwarfed by a towering observation tower, or campanile, with wide views of the Olympic Mountains and Seattle. You can read more about the project at kitsapsun.com. Story number 4 this week. Port Orchard police have recently been inundated by complaints about drivers on Lund Avenue driving around stopped school buses. State law requires drivers approaching school buses from behind to stop when the buses have their emergency lights on. The complaints have caused police to post an officer at the stop to watch for violations. Reporter Chris Henry has more.
I think there's some confusion with our citizens with school buses and Kitsap transit or public transportation vehicles, where if a transportation vehicle like such as Kitsap Transit is letting somebody on and off, there certainly can go by if there's a lane that it's safe. There's a specific law with school buses that drivers cannot go by a school bus with the lights on. I see pretty commonly westbound traffic here stopping when they're not required to. If there's a lane dividing you and the school bus, you're not required to stop. If you're behind the school bus or next to the school bus going the same direction, you are required to stop.
And finally, what's on tap for your weekend, brought to you by your mid-sized brewery of the year, Silver City Brewery. What's real-life CSI like? How does it work in your hometown? Here's your opportunity to find out. The Kitsap Sun is taking its Story Walk 2020 series back to the West Hills, home to the Kitsap County Coroner's Office, Department of Emergency Management, and more. Your free tour on February 29th includes a behind-the-scenes look at the Coroner's Office, Dispatch Center, and more. There's a 1 p.m. time slot and a 2 p.m. time slot. And all you have to do to RSVP is email josh.farley@kitsapsun.com. That's our show for this week. Thanks again for watching. Thanks to our sponsors, and a special thank you to those of you who read and subscribe to the Kitsap Sun. We could not do this without you. We'll see you next week. Now we're rolling. Okay. Hi. I need you to go away. I need you to get out of my shot, please. Go away. Come on. Go away. Go away. Come on.